This is the 2024 Acura MDX base. Is it still the king of luxury crossover SUVs? Hey everybody, it's Tom from Vehicle Visionary. Carrie is behind the camera and today we're at Acura in Shreveport, Louisiana. And for those of you who often say, Tom, we don't want to see the highest trim levels, this video is for you because this is the lowest trim level of the MDX. However, you might be surprised at what you get for the price. And speaking of price, before we dig into the features and functionality here, if you come into Acura and say, I watched Vehicle Visionary's video on whatever vehicle you want to purchase, only on new, not on used, you get $500 off. Let's find out what you get for this price with this model. And we start here on the front end with a very nice layout, unique. The Jewel Eye LED headlights. We're going to have the LED daytime running lights. You even have the LED turn signals, something you don't see on a lot of vehicles. A lot of the time, these vehicles leave that out. Now, it would be nice to see active air curtains right here. Those are not active. That's just there for cosmetics, and that's all. But I do like the design of the front grille. The thing that's so nice here is the fact that it has a flowing look to it. And depending on your perspective, some people say it looks like everything is flowing towards the Acura logo. I personally think it looks like somebody just kind of threw that logo in the center of the grille and everything is flowing away. Well, just depends on your perspective. Neither one is wrong. And as we work our way around to the side here, let's talk about our tire and wheel size. In case you're wondering here, we're going to have 255 on our width, a lot of 55s here because you also have a 55 series sidewall, and you will also find a 19-inch wheel. Here is the remote. You can see what all is there, pretty simple. Not a really big remote, kind of compact and easy to deal with, but that's part of what you're going to get on this particular trim level. And how about your side view mirror functionality? Body color with the mirror caps, turn signal indicators built in. They are power adjustable, and good news, they're also heated. Now, if you're wondering about roof rails, you're not going to find that here on this particular trim level, but I'll let Carrie come in here and show you. In fact, you probably already saw it with the view he gave you right there. What you will find here is a panoramic sunroof, something that a lot of you always tell me you'd rather have than the conventional size. And one thing that I always find very interesting, a lot of people will say, oh, the MDX is just on the same platform as the CR-V. Not even close. I actually did a video to prove that a while back. And it's amazing to me that in the title, I clearly say why I'm comparing the two, and yet a lot of people still say, those are not the same vehicles. You shouldn't be comparing them. That's how they sound. We finish things off here on the rear with the rear roof spoiler. We're going to have the exposed rear window wiper here. I guess that's not too bad. I like to see those tucked away inside of the rear roof spoiler. That's probably more of a car guy thing than anything else. So just ignore that. But LED taillights will have a very similar look here as far as the overall design to the housing for the headlights on the front of the vehicle. And there is a little bit of chrome back here. Also, we saw some chrome on the front. And a lot of people say, you know what, chrome is outdated. Here's my personal opinion on that. Everybody is welcome to their opinions. I don't have a problem with black trim, but when it comes to luxury, I'd say chrome is a good fit. Under the hood is the 3.5-liter V6. Plentiful horsepower at 290. The torque numbers come in at 267. And for those of you who are anti-turbocharger, that's good. This is naturally aspirated. Mated to a 10-speed automatic transmission. And there's a neat little trick here. There's a hiding place right here. Look at this. I can actually hide the remote away in there if I wanted to. It's almost like a lockbox or something. In fact, there's so much air going in, I can just about stick my whole arm in there. Imagine if I got my arm stuck. That would be interesting. We had to call the police or I guess the fire department. It's kind of like getting your tongue stuck to an iced over pole. Some of you are going to know what that's from and some of you aren't. Let's talk about MPGs. Let me grab the window sticker right here and I'll tell you all about that. In fact, I'll let Carrie come in here and show you. So we're talking 19 city, 26 highway, 22 combined, 4.5 gallons of gas per every 100 miles driven. And speaking of gas, something I like to make sure I do in my videos right here, you do have capless fuel fill. When you lock the interior, that gas door will lock. When you fill your gas tank, that's going to hold 18.5 gallons of gas. Let's talk functionality. Depending on if you go front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive, your towing numbers will either be 3,500 pounds or up to 5,000 pounds. 18.1 cubic feet up to 95 cubic feet of cargo capacity. And you might notice, well, that door doesn't open very high, does it? How do you fix that? Well, you can change the height of this rear door to anywhere you want it to be. And all you have to do is move it into the position where you want it, whether you raise it or lower it, and you hold this button down and you listen for the beeps. There we go. Now, when I open it again, it will go back to that height. And let's talk about what you'll find in the interior. Now, you'll notice that there's no lid or anything for the floor right here, right, or for this area. Well, actually, this fits down inside. It's two-sided. So here's the cool thing, and this is one of the great things about having Carrie here, is that I can show you these things a lot easier. So here's one side. If you have something back here that might get dirt or sand or something on the carpet that you don't want there, well, there's your solution. Or if you want, well, maybe we'll say the little bit more of a luxurious look, you can easily flip that over. It's pretty light, easy to deal with, and there is the other side of the floor. Now, there's not a spare tire here, something to be aware of. It does come with a tire repair kit, just something that's kind of interesting, but it's something that is here. And let's talk a little bit more about functionality. 12-volt power outlet. I'll let Carrie come in and show you some of that. You can see the bag hanger right there. And we'll have a little bit of storage space on the side down there on the left-hand side of the vehicle. Nothing over here as far as that's concerned. I don't think that's a big deal. And unlike, say, the Honda Pilot, that is Honda's 3-row SUV, you don't have the straps you pull on here to lower the rear seats. I know a lot of you want to see everything maximized. In fact, we're going to have to move some things around here, but here's how you do this. So that's one area maximized. I'll go in here and show you what it looks like when we maximize the sides here. Hurry up and do this real fast for you. Carrie can show you what's going on in the meantime while I'm rushing around to the other side here, and we'll lower things down. Now, one thing you'll notice, you'll say, wait a minute, that seat didn't go down right there. Well, there's actually something to that. Now, here's how it looks when everything is maximized. You can move this seat belt out of the way. It will go right up here. But let me show you something. I'm going to have Carrie come over to the passenger side door over there because there's something really important that I need to show you. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this down, and right here in the front is a release. You ever notice that? And so what is that for? Maybe you own an MDX. For those of you who work at the dealerships, take that off. That helps us out in these videos. So why am I doing this? Because you can do this. Now, here's what happens. Seat weighs, I don't know, maybe 30 pounds or so. Let me set this down for just a second. And the cool thing here is that if you want to, you can. There's a couple of different ways you can do this, but you can put the seat right here if you want to. That helps out. You don't have to do that, but it's easy to keep up with that way. Or you can stow it at home, whatever the case is. But just so you know, that's how you do that. Easy to deal with, easy to put back in. Now, it would be cool if you could take all of those seats out, but it would be very difficult because the Honda Odyssey does that, but you have a much wider opening door. And let's talk about what your second and third row passengers are going to find. And we'll start with the door panel over on the passenger side. A nice wide armrest. Really nice to put your arm on there. It is pretty comfortable, I'd say. A little bit hard, but when you put your arm on there, it actually feels pretty comfortable. Nice, sturdy materials. High end, that's a good thing. And here with the door bin, you have a nice size bottle holder, and then you have some space in front of that. So quite a bit going on there when it comes to storage for smaller items. That's always a good thing. Obviously, you have your door handle and all that good stuff right there. Nice. Not that I've ever seen it before, but I'm glad this is not gloss or piano black. Can you imagine the fingerprints? You might as well just have a fingerprint wrap if you had something like that, but nobody has that I've seen. Now, before we go too far into the center seat area, let's hit the button. It's going to be on the side of the seat down here. I'll let Carrie show you where his is. All you do is push that button. The seat will get out of the way and make it easy to gain access to the third row. Now we're going to do a couple of things to show you what's going on here. So notice where my legs are right here. It looks kind of tight, doesn't it? It is kind of tight, but the good news is that you can move these seats back and forth a couple of different ways to maximize rear leg room. Now, as long as the middle seat right here is in, that's going to stay where it is. You can't move that back and forth. It's not on the tracks the same way that these outboard seats are. And before we go too far with that, let's talk about what is back here. Just a cup holder. Technically, that could be used as an armrest as well. And that's about it. So what I'm going to do is slide over here to the passenger side, and I'm going to pull this back, and then I'll let Carrie move it all the way forward so we can show you how far up that goes as far as leg space goes. So we'll move that forward. I'll let him grab the release right there in the front, and we'll move the seat up. Kind of hard to do one-handed probably. So I hope you can see this really well. There is my leg space. My feet are a little tight back here. Probably better for the kids, but to be completely honest with you, adults could fit back here. I'm 5'10". You can see the space that's above my head. That's what it is, but that gives you an idea on space. Now, one more thing I want to show right here. Let's say that the middle row passengers jump out for whatever reason, and don't let the rear seat passengers out. There's a button on the back of the seat right there that rear seat passengers can push. Seat gets up and out of the way, and then everybody can exit. And now we'll go a little bit deeper into the middle row. And I want to start right here for you parents with car seats. Here is the latch system. Now you will have to keep up with the covers right here, but just so you know, that's there. And you know what? So easy about that. You could technically just drop those in here if you wanted to. You could drop them into the cup holders right there, into the door bins. Although you might hear that moving around and everything, but you're probably going to hear a lot more than that because you have kids in the seats with you. So I guess that's not a big deal. And right here, you might say, wait a minute, there's nothing there as far as an armrest or anything goes. Well, you really know already there is, because it's a fold down for everything here. Now, using that as an armrest, I guess it could be done. It's a little low for that, but that's what's here. Cup holders, a lot of space right here. And let me move this back up and out of the way so that we can show you the control center here. You have 3-zone climate control. And so back here you can control temperature, you control fan speed. Here are your air conditioning vents, obviously right here. That's useful. And then on the bottom down here, we have our 2 USB options and a 12-volt power outlet. Now, one thing I do also want to cover here is that with the panoramic sunroof, if you're curious, this front section slides and tilts open. There is a shade right here that can be drawn forward when there's maybe too much light coming into the interior so that things don't get too warm. Okay, for those of you who are saying, all right, Tom, I'm really impressed with what I see. Am I going to be impressed with the price? $51,645. That's not too bad in this day and age for everything that you get here, even on the base trim level. Let's find out what else you get. We'll start with the door panel over there. A little bit more space as far as your door bin goes. Still going to have that same basic armrest, quite a bit of space there as well, just as comfortable. But for those who want the largest door bin, that's where they need to be. And as far as the seating goes, the driver and passenger seats are 12-way adjustable. You do have lumbar support down there. You can adjust that. Heated here, that's good. A little bit of bolstering. So if you take turns really fast with that 290 horsepower, then, well, not only will people stay in place there, but they also have the oh crap handles here at every door to grab onto. So that is there if you want to grab onto it. Even the driver could do that, I guess, although that might be a little scary if you take one hand off the steering wheel, but that's what's there. And the piano black finish is here in a few different areas, not only on the door panel up there, but also across the dash right here. Probably not in a bad area necessarily. Hard to say for sure, but here is your glove box, plenty of space in there, and that nice felt material, just so comfortable. People are going to be in the passenger seat rubbing on that because it just feels so good. And As far as the rest of what we have here, I'll have Carrie hop on in so we can show you what is here. One area where a lot of people say, this is what I wish was different, has to do with the screen. It's not a touch screen. Now, if Monk wants to buy an Acura MDX, that's a good thing because there won't be any fingerprints up there except for what I just left, with the exception of the fact that you have the plastic right here. So how do you use that? It's done with the trackpad down here, and I know a lot of people say, man, I don't really like that. Once you get used to it, it's not a big deal. In fact, some of you owners can probably tell us about that in the comments section. You have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as you can see, and if you want to go to a different screen, you're going to be able to do that. You have a couple of different screens here. If you want to go a little further, we'll just scroll down. We'll go down here to settings. I do want to show you one thing. When I go there and want to select that, all I have to do is push on that trackpad right there, and there we go. We're where we want to be. We can make changes, go in and see what's going on. If we wanted to go into lighting setup, there's how we do that. Pretty easy to deal with. I think once you're used to it, it's not a big deal. Some potential owners maybe haven't even had this kind of technology in their vehicles before. And we'll have the camera view, the rear view camera, so you're going to have a couple of different things you can do here. We'll show you real quick what you have as far as your views go. So really kind of a multi-view setup here. You have your trajectory lines and all that good stuff. So a lot of good things going on here. Dual zone climate control, that's good. Dual zone here in the front, single zone in the rear, so a total of 3 zones. You do have the heated seats, as I was mentioning earlier, 3 stages for the driver and the passenger. Now another area where some people say, I'm not so crazy about that. The push button shifter. Tell me what you think about that. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think you get used to it, no problem. You're going to have your 2 different driving modes as far as D and S, drive and sport. And then around that, if you want to turn the auto stop start feature off, there's where you're going to do that. I always like to do that in my vehicles. You have brake hold mode right here. Now that being gloss black, probably going to fingerprint up just a little bit. I don't know. I guess it depends. Now, you may drive around with gloves on. You won't have to worry about that. Are there any of you that actually do that? And right here, I kind of think it's a neat setup because you have your USB options concealed away right there. And there is one more thing in this area that I want to show you. Here's your drive mode selector. So those drive modes will come up on the screen. I'll let Carrie show you that as I make the turn. So we'll go up here to the screen. Here are your driving modes, and you can see that you have sport, there's normal, comfort, you even have animated graphics. And if you push that, you can go into individual mode and actually make changes to individual areas of the vehicle. Everything doesn't have to be the same. So that's really simple, really good to use. Also down here will be your kind of something I like to call old school because you don't see it in a lot of vehicles anymore. The knob for controlling the functionality of the radio, turning that on and off, and controlling the volume. And before we hop over here and talk about what you'll find from the driver's seat, here is where you're going to control the functionality of your sunroof. This will open and close everything, and this will bring forward that shade that I was talking about earlier. Notice that it's hands-free. I just push the button, no problem. I don't have to hold the button down for that to happen. That's a good thing. We'll show you what else is on that upper console up there, give you a little bit more longer view of that just so you can see what all is there. You also have a sunglass holder right here, something that can be very convenient as well. And the center console with the lid, well, guess what? That doubles as an armrest. It's nice and wide, and there is space within. In fact, you have a couple of different options here. So we have some space right here, and you might say, is that it? No, that's definitely not it. In fact, here's how that works. If you want to get to that smaller area, this is how you open that. This one on the left-hand side, or the driver's side, is how you open the lid itself and get into the larger section of space. You also have a couple more connectivity options down there with USB and 12 volt. And you probably already saw that you have a wireless charging pad right here. Obviously, if that's on the base, that tells you that it's on all trim levels.
So let's talk about the command position, the driving position. Get in here and shut the door. And there is your entrance animation. Let's get it started here. There's your start button, foot on the brake. So let's talk about some of the features you have from the driving position here. There doesn't appear to be a heads-up display, but that's okay. You have your standard features over here. You have your button for adjusting your light time. This is your safety feature here. You push that button. There's a toggle over here that you push for your road departure mitigation. You roll that wheel down to blind spot information and collision mitigation. Stability control. There's your automatic electronic park brake. You have adjustments for your steering wheel, tilt and telescope. Usual features here for your headlight controls, windshield washers, front and rear adjustment. On your steering wheel, you have your volume control knob for your radio, your wheel for those functions, your speaking voice for your radio, your app control on your steering wheel, which is a good thing. So you can do that from the steering wheel without always having to take your hands off the wheel. You have your lane departure, same thing here. Your cruise control, distance control right here on your steering wheel, your cancel button for that also. And looks like we've covered everything on that front. Nice command position, nice seating position here, nice thick steering wheel. Feels very sporty in the hand. It's a very nice looking steering wheel also. One more feature, let's cover the exit animation. Most vehicles don't have an exit animation, just an entrance. Watch this. Way to go, Acura.
All right, we're going to get out on the road for our test drive here with the MDX. And I tell you what, there's a lot of big advantages here as far as the driving experience goes. A lot of the time when you have a vehicle that handles very well, you sacrifice the comfort as far as the ride quality goes. Here, there's a very good balance. And for those of you who are saying, you know what, Tom, I came across your video, I really don't want the bass. Well, obviously, there's a lot of additional trim levels. You can even go as high as the Type S if you want to, and have a lot more than 290 horsepower. So you really have a lot of great options, but the cool thing about it is that you still have a lot of the great features and functionality here that you would have on the Type S. And so, you know, if you don't want to spend too much money, but you still want some of the great features that you have here that we've shown you in the video, well, they're going to be here. One thing I did not mention earlier in the video that is here is you don't have to have your phone plugged into a USB port to pair it to the infotainment screen. So wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto, that's a good thing. Makes everything a lot more simplified as far as pairing goes. Overall, it's a very enjoyable vehicle to drive. The steering wheel itself is very, very comfortable. That's for sure. It just feels right in your hands. And so one way or another, you're going to enjoy driving. And then technology here, while I know the number one thing a lot of people want to see in the MDX at some point, possibly as early as 2025, there's no word on that, so I'm not telling you that might be happening, but obviously a touchscreen. So we'll just have to wait and see what comes. The MDX was fully redesigned for the 2022 model year, so that obviously is a situation where you won't see a full redesign for a while, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But technology here is easy to use. It's easy to see out of. You get a lot of great standard safety features as far as your adaptive cruise control and lane keeping assist, road departure. All of that is here. I mean, literally anything you could imagine just about is going to be here. We showed you some of those features earlier in the video when you were taking a look at everything with Carrie here from the driver's position, as far as how you turn a lot of that on and make adjustments and changes to it. But overall, a very nice vehicle. Acceleration, one thing I do want to cover real quick. There are people out there that will say 290 horsepower is not enough. Well, I can tell you right now, that for the average person, it will be more than enough. When you need to accelerate up to highway speed, when you need to go a little faster than the traffic, when you're merging onto the interstate or similar highways to an interstate, hint, hint, to some of you drivers out there that want to drive 30 miles an hour to merge when the speed limit is 70, well, that's not going to be a problem. Overall, a very well-rounded vehicle. Aside from the touchscreen, I am curious to know, what changes would you like to see in the future? So tell me what you think down in the comments section. Is the 2024 Acura MDX still the king of luxury crossover SUVs? And what are your thoughts on this being the base model at the price where it lands? I think you get a lot for the money. I want to say a special thanks to my friends here at Acura for loaning us this MDX for the day. Don't forget about the Vehicle Visionary discount when you come into the dealership. Tell whoever you work with that you saw our video on whatever new Acura vehicle you're looking at. I also want to say a special thanks to each and every one of you for being kind enough to give us the opportunity to give you a vision for your next vehicle. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button. That helps us out a lot. If you haven't subscribed just yet, please be sure to do so. That way you don't miss any future videos. And if you would like to learn about additional vehicles you may wish to consider purchasing, check out the video that's on the screen right now, and we'll see you there.